Hi, everybody. Let's get into chapter 26, which is project management. Did I say that right? I think I said project with a K, but there's a T in there. So project management. So the purpose of a project. Projects exist as a result of the organization's response to change. The need for change or reaction to change is the basis for all projects. Change may be due to the desire to offer new products or services, respond to new industry trends or regulations, or improve or automate processes. Regardless of the reason for change, projects are created to coordinate the organization's efforts and resources to ensure an effective transition from the current state of operating to a new state. In other words, projects are used to make changes in the organization. So project characteristics are temporary and a one-time instance of work. It requires a use of resources from multiple disciplines. It's a defined and specific outcome goals. There's a limited resource budgets and targeted start and end date. So if this is something that just kind of continuously goes on, then that's not a project because projects are temporary. So operations versus project. Again, a project is a temporary and unique instance of work involving specialized individuals working together to achieve a specific goal within resource and time limitations. And in order to better understand the concepts of a project, it's important to be able to differentiate between projects from ongoing daily operations. While a project is temporary and occurs only once, operations do not have a planned end date and the work is repeated routinely. Additionally, while operations are designed for consistency, each project is designed to address a specific and unique set of goals. So project sources, it includes revenues, projects with the purpose of increasing the organization's income, expense projects with the purpose of reducing the cost of providing goods or services, or compliance, projects with the purpose of meeting the expectations or directives set by an internal or external governing body. So the process groups, initiating a project is the first step in project management and is followed by project planning. Planning is followed by executing and monitoring and controlling the project. Executing and monitoring and controlling occur simultaneously. And the monitoring and controlling process is followed by the closing of the project. So project constraints. From a basic project management perspective, projects fail when the entire scope of the project identified is not delivered, all work is not completed before the targeted date, or all work can't be completed while remaining within the defined resource budget. So these three constraints are commonly referred to as the triple constraint. How can you make sure that you complete the project within the schedule that you have set up, within the budget, and it still remains within the scope? Project members. So projects are carried out by a number of individuals who contribute a specialized skill set or knowledge to complete the project deliverables. The specialized skills and knowledge are driven by the type of work required to complete the project scope. And while roles and specialties vary across all projects, there are many roles associated with the project that are clearly defined and are required for any successful project. These roles include the project manager, the project champion, project sponsor, the users or recipients, and the project team member. Each of these roles is directly related to specifying, supporting, and completing the project, and is not a part of the organization's standard operations roles. The three types of organizational structures related to projects are described in the following. They begin with the functional structure in which the employees working on a project also do their operational work and report to the functional manager for both. In the matrix organization, it moves from weak to balanced to strong in regard to the authority and resources granted to a project leader. And in a projectized organization, the project manager and team work entirely on projects full time, not sharing their time between projects and operations. So the functional organization, each of the employees has a single supervisor, which is the functional manager, and employees are grouped in departments by specialty and function independently of other departments. And the functional manager has full authority over staff, and there is no project manager for a project. Rather, a project coordinator works across independent departments for collaboration to complete a project. I'm sure we have come across some the functional managers though. I know I have. So in the weak matrix organization, there is still not a project manager, but a project expediter is able to work directly with the functional staff rather than only through the functional managers. So this provides a bit more authority and resources to the expediter, but the functional manager still manages the project. In the balanced matrix organization, there is a project manager designated from one of the functional departments to serve as leader of the project. The project manager has modest authority and access to resources, but must still collaborate with the functional managers to obtain these resources. And the work is fully directed by the project manager, working with the functional managers, making decisions about project scope. The strong matrix organization is much like the balanced matrix, but includes a department of project managers. And these project managers are not functional staff members, rather project manager specialists reporting to a manager of project management. Now in the projectized organization, the project manager has full authority over the project team and access to resources, and the project manager and project staff work on a project full-time. And here is a nice graph here about the change in organization structure that you should hear more about. It includes the change frequency, the project manager's authority, and the project manager's role. And it's divided by functional, weak matrix, balanced matrix, strong matrix, and projectized. Everything that we just talked about is in a nice little graph. Hopefully it makes it easier for you to comprehend. So project team structures. So you have part-time team members and team members. These team members aren't fully allocated to a project and have other duties in the organization. You have vendor partners, which are team members that are not employees of the organization. They may be consultants, contractors, and outsourcing agencies. You have co-located teams, and these team members are located within the same space, enhancing the ability to collaborate. And you have distributed teams, which are team members that are located in different locations across the organization, state, or country. And there is strong expertise in distributed teams, but communication is more challenging for obvious reasons. So project managers serve multiple roles in the project and are responsible for leading the project to successful completion. Since project management involves the planning, organization, directing, and controlling of the organization's resources to achieve the project's objectives, the project manager takes on many responsibilities. These responsibilities can be summarized into these 6 basic functions that we have listed here, and that is to manage resources, to manage the scope, quality, schedule, costs, and communications. Project manager competencies. There's no such thing as a perfect project manager. Project managers must continually develop their skills and knowledge. There are many areas to master, and the field evolves so much so that project managers always have areas to develop. Given the need for continued development, there is a framework to outline the competencies project managers must develop. This framework is referred to as a Project Manager Competency Development Framework, PMCD. This framework can also be considered a set of building blocks that a project manager develops over time. Each of these blocks are connected and build upon each other to form the complete project manager. The individual blocks are personal behaviors, process knowledge, project performance, industry expertise, and organizational expertise. Now, as noted in the project management competencies, knowledge of project processes is the first area of development for project managers. Understanding the process of project management provides a foundation for becoming a project manager. Unfortunately, over the decades, project management processes have matured and best practices have emerged. And these best practices have been published through PMI as the PMBOK. I don't know if you want to call it that or not, but I like making words out of acronyms. That's my thing. This guide outlines the processes that occur while managing a project. And these processes are categorized into 5 separate and sequential groups, which includes initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing. So let's talk about initiating. So projects begin with the initiation process where the project is first defined. And this process group uses a project definition and scope, schedule, and budget estimates as inputs and results in an output of a completed project charter. The purpose of the first phase of the life cycle is to identify the project goals and gain agreement on the project constraints, the scope, the schedule, and that budget, that triple aim. So the next phase is planning. So once the initiation is complete, the planning process begins. This phase uses the completed project charter and several planning tools as input and produces a detailed project plan and updated project constraints as the output for the project planning process. The purpose of this process is to investigate the project further to gain a complete understanding of the project and the work to be completed in order to establish a detailed plan to execute it. The initial project constraints of scope, schedule, and budget from the project charter were educated guesses and must be better defined as the work is planned. Now, project execution begins during the end of the planning phase. The project plans are carried out and the project work products are delivered. This phase includes forming the project team, purchasing supplies and materials for the project, inspecting the project deliverables for quality issues while they're being produced, communicating with the project stakeholders, and managing the expectations of all project stakeholders. And while the project team is executing the project plan, the project is also being monitored and controlled by the project manager. During this phase of the life cycle, the project is evaluated to ensure it's on track according to the plan. Alterations are made to the plans as changes occur and variances to the baseline are reported. The scope, schedule, and budget are regulated using a change management plan, which we're going to get into in a few slides down, where issues are identified and addressed, risks are evaluated, and appropriate contingency plans are made just in case something goes wrong. So the final process group is the project in the process. Let me say that again. The final process group in the project management lifecycle is the closing process group. During this phase, the project is reflected upon and evaluated by the project team and all stakeholders. All project expenditures are concluded and the project documents and other artifacts are archived for future reference or reuse. So a work breakdown structure. So here's a great example. Our project consists of 3 phases. Phase 1 involves 2 activities. Phase 3 involves 1 activity. Activity 1 of phase 1 involves 2 tasks. Activity 1 of phase 3 involves 1 task. So that is an example of a work breakdown structure that as a project manager, you might come across. And here is a Gantt chart, which is really, really useful. So it consists of 4 columns and a timeline for this example anyway. And the columns are task name, duration, predecessors, and resource names. And the timeline ranges from the end of the 29th of November to the 20th of December. Invitation is the first item in the event. The tasks related to invitations are cards, postage, and collection. Betsy is going to be responsible for selecting, ordering, and printing the cards. The duration for the task is going to be 8 days. Henry is going to be responsible for purchasing the postage and the mailing cards. Emily is going to be responsible for adhering the postage. And the duration of the task is 14 days. And the duration of the collection is 46 days. So this is a great example of how you can use a Gantt chart to plan, to list out what the tasks are going to be, who's going to be responsible for it, and the duration of that project or that task. So types of change. So project change occurs through several different means. Change may originate from the project team, project owner, project stakeholders, the organization, or the external environment and regulations. Regardless of the source of change, the project manager and project team must respond and shift the project plans to accommodate the change. Also, the project manager must engage the project stakeholders to reset project expectations as a result of that change. So the change management process is as follows. The first step is to request a change in plan. A change request is created and sent to a team for review. A change proposal is created. If the team approves the change request, the plan is adjusted, project plans are made, and the new plan is executed. If the team doesn't approve the change request, the decision is informed and the existing plan is continued. So project selection, when we're going beyond project management, project selection is a method used to prioritize which projects will move forward and which will not, considering the organization needs, culture, and goals. Program management is when a large project is broken down into smaller related projects. This set of projects is referred to as a program. And program management is used as a layer of management where a program manager guides this related set of individual projects to ensure deliverables are met. And finally, project portfolio management is a method used to identify, select, and prioritize projects and programs in a manner to best use of limited resources. The organization distributes resources to a collection of projects resulting in the greatest benefit. And let me just apologize to you there. I have two German Shepherd dogs. And so in the background, you may occasionally hear little paw prints or little nails going against the hardwood floors. That's them. So I'm just going to continue and you just act like you just don't even hear anything, okay? Well, that was it.